Okay, fellow marks, it's time for another episode of Raw Review. This Raw opens with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar in the ring, and they're doing Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar things. Last week I thought it was a little bit strange when they tried to do this kind of revisionist history of saying that Brock Lesnar struggles against men similar in size to and skill set to Seth Rollins, even though there's no evidence of that. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, dude, you've said yourself on these videos that Brock Lesnar struggles against these types of opponents. And that's not, I guess maybe I might have said that. I was going to say I have never said that, but I might have said that. But I think what I was mostly getting at when I was talking about those things was that he puts on more entertaining matches visually and for us to watch as fans with opponents the size of Finn Balor and AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. And if you think back, he beat all those guys. He beat them all. So he hasn't struggled. I mean, they were good matches, so in a sense, I guess you could argue that he struggled because it wasn't just a squash match. But, I mean, really, Brock won all of them, so it's kind of erroneous, and they were really playing it up last week. Paul Heyman was really playing it up last week that if anybody has a chance, it's Seth Rollins, and that Brock struggles with guys Seth's size and all that stuff. And then this week they kind of came out and undid that. I don't know if somebody back at Creative got in somebody else's ear and was like, look, the people who really pay attention, like the diehards, the real fans of this, they know that that's bullcrap. They can tell you that all the matches we're making a big deal out of, they know that we just let Brock come out the conquering hero in anyways, just like he does against Roman Reigns and just like other than that recent time, but just like he does against Braun Strowman, who we've all, or I guess most people would probably rather feel that they would rather see Braun with the Universal title than Brock. So yeah, he's put on more entertaining matches, and I guess in that sense he's struggled. But I mean, the diehards know he beat them just the same, just maybe less handedly. Oh, my sign fell over. I gotta fix that. Hold on, guys. Too sweet. There we go. Too sweet. Let's make sure Batista. Drax the Old Man Destroyer. He's in the shot too. Okay, cool. Anyway, back to what I was saying. They kind of came out and they undid a little bit of the garbage from that revisionist history, kind of. Because Paul Heyman comes out and he corrects the record and he says actually Brock's been fine. And that was pretty much the end of that. Drew McIntyre though. He comes out and he reminds us, I believe he was supposed to have a match with Seth Rollins, is what was supposed to. Seth was maybe out there I can't remember why Seth was out there now. I should have done this video the day I watched Raw, but I couldn't. So anyway, though, the next major thing that happens, Drew McIntyre, he comes out and he reminds us that he's the scariest dude on Raw. Yeah, that's right. I remember now. Okay, so Drew McIntyre comes out and cuts promo, and he's scary, and I really like what I was when I first started doing videos on this channel, which wasn't that long ago. Right around, I think Royal Rumble was the week I started doing these videos. Was the week of Royal Rumble. Yeah, I think so. And since the beginning, I've been kind of low on Drew McIntyre. And admittedly, right now, sitting here, I still don't make much of the pairing of or, you know, the trio of Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Baron Corbin. I just don't, and that's probably, and I think I've said in recent weeks that I don't think that that's really Drew McIntyre's fault. Drew McIntyre is scary. If I was going to rank my top 5 superstars on Raw, he might be in it. He would definitely be in it if I was just ranking the top 5 male superstars on Raw. And not in the order of like favorite for me, just objectively. You know, he's a good heel. He's got a good physique as far as like he looks tough and he looks. A lot of the baby faces are smaller, and I think that works out for the storylines, right? So he's got a good physique for a heel, and even the guys that are maybe bigger or just as big, guys like Roman and definitely Braun is bigger. He still seems big enough to take those guys on with no, in wrestling terms, huge disadvantage. And so I think that makes him great. But then Seth Rollins comes out and gets his revenge with chair shot. That's where Seth Rollins came into the picture. He wasn't out there already. He came out and he interrupted Drew with a chair shot to right to the back. I'm kind of glad they can't do the chair shots across the head anymore. But at the same time, it kind of makes me wonder, why even do the chair shots? I don't know. We have a segment where it's going to be a tag match involving Finn Balor, a mystery partner, Lio Rush, and Bobby Lashley. And my biggest takeaways from the segments is that Bobby Lashley isn't even getting over as a heel anymore. There were scattered boos in the crowd, but it was mostly apathetic, like bored seeming during his little shtick. Bobby left Leo in the ring to be demolished by Braun. Oh yeah, Braun Strowman, I guess I was a couple months early, or maybe it was in the works and then it was out of the works. But I've been trying to put Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Kurt Angle in kind of a group together against the Bad Boring Boys for, I don't know, since like January, I think is the first time I brought it up. I mean, it seems like a natural pairing. Braun and Finn are buddies or whatever, and Kurt Angle has had issues with these guys and is a respected dude, and they're all baby faces, and at least they all are right now. It just seems to make sense, right? I don't know. But either way, that is the tag match that we got tonight, sort of. It was Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush versus Braun Strowman and Finn Balor. And it had its spots and everything, but I feel like they're trying to build some sort of a storyline with Balor here, where he's going to get the Intercontinental title back. I would think he's going to get that back at some point here, or have some sort of really special WrestleMania match. Like I'm expecting that he didn't get a championship for the first time in a long time, just to keep it for 2 weeks and kind of be done with it. I think the WWE is aware at this point that the fans want to see him as more of an upper mid-card sort of main event mix, but on the outskirts of that guy. We don't want to see him the way he was booked during the second half of a lot of 2018. We don't want to see that. We just don't. And definitely not for long stretches. And I feel like that's kind of what we're getting right now. So I really hope this is building towards something. It does seem that Bobby Lashley has finally made good on his split from Lio Rush. Bobby left Lio just to be demolished by Braun Strowman and Finn Balor and win the match easily. This was, I think, when was it? Elimination Chamber, I think, when we had our first, like, oh, they're done. And then they were thrown back together on Raw for whatever reason. I think it was to be opponents for, I think it was Aleister Black and Ricochet, wasn't it? I don't know. But they threw them back together for whatever reason. Yeah, that's what it was. It was Ricochet and Finn Balor were in a tag match against Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush, which was a cool match. But it really screwed up the progress of breaking up that team. And so now it looks like we're back to that again. Who knows for how long? Kurt Angle's in the ring, presumably to announce his opponent for his retirement match, but also to check another box off his retirement tour. And when he announced that Baron Corbin was going to be his retirement match opponent, there was like this gasp in the crowd that was like seriously the sound of like if being underwhelmed had a noise, that would be it. Like it was just this like, ugh. Like seriously, you should watch it if on YouTube. If WWE hasn't piped in some other crowd noise or something like that over their YouTube clip by now, because apparently people say they do stuff like that. Who knows, right? It seems like they kind of do. It also seems like maybe they kind of pipe in chants at times too, because I've heard the "Fight Forever" chant at times where I didn't think it was cool stuff going on in the ring, but not normally where enough people for you to hear it start chanting "Fight Forever," right? So I feel like some of these chants are kind of like planted, but you know, this gasp was just, people were unimpressed. Anyway, Angle's going to have a match with Chad Gable and on Raw. And that's actually an awesome match. And if anybody actually cared about Chad Gable outside of, like, again, diehard wrestling fans, maybe this match would have been Kurt Angle's retirement. And it would have been, these two could do a 15-minute match that's super entertaining and super emotional. And it doesn't even have to have a heel angle involved with it. You can just have two competitors who respect each other, one guy knowing that it's just his last match. They're trying to sell it as though Baron Corbin is the last guy left that Kurt Angle wants to beat. And I can kind of, excuse me, that's kind of the sad thing about it, because I can kind of understand with everything that they have built between Corbin and Angle why this would be the match. It's just, we're so sick of Baron Corbin by this point. I mean, it's not just me. I know it's not just me. I know he probably has people out there that like him. And I don't think he's the worst, right? But I just feel like Kurt Angle deserves a better match. Anyway, Kurt Angle gets the win, but Baron Corbin comes out to spoil it for everybody with his self. I don't know. Beth Phoenix is coming out of retirement to take on Sasha and Bayley for the tag titles with Natty. I can't remember their team name. Somebody could probably tell me. I could look it up too, but whatever. It's not a terrible idea. I still think it's going to end up being another multi-team match with Nia and Tamina in the mix there too, if not another group, because I feel like they want as many. I mean, they always want to get as many people on the card as possible for events like WrestleMania and stuff. And one way to do that is multi-man tag matches and triple threats for titles and men's and women's battle royal matches. I mean, hell, you know what would be really entertaining is if this year the women's battle royal match only involved women's tag teams and was for the women's tag title and involved two chances to win for every team, because you wouldn't have to necessarily, unlike the Elimination Chamber tag match, which we already saw, right? This is how this would be different in a key way, is you wouldn't have to exit the ring just because your partner was eliminated. You would have a chance. You wouldn't have an ally, and maybe certainly other people would at that point in time, but you would have a chance. And that could be some entertaining storyline, especially for a baby face like Bayley, if they want to keep her face, or somebody like Io Shirai and Kairi Sane could take that title by having one of them get eliminated and the other one be a conquering hero that's got to, prevail. So I feel like that could be very interesting, and you wouldn't even have to have that many tag teams. You could have the champions and then one team from each of the other three shows. And that's it. So you could have the champs. You could have, Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. You could have Tamina and Nia Jax. And then, pick one from SmackDown. I guess at this point, it probably should be the Iconics. Spoiler. But, you could pick one from SmackDown. It wouldn't really matter. The team from SmackDown in this situation would not be one of the intriguing teams. SmackDown has a great women's singles division. The women's tag scene over there is a little bit hodgepodge and then underwhelming on the other side. So not real tag teams, and then like comedy acts. And I consider at this point Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, they're not really a comedy act, but I mean, Mandy Rose is kind of she's not out there for her wrestling. I mean, she's a decent wrestler too, which is sad, but she's not out there for her wrestling. She's just not. So we get a singles match between Natty and Sasha, and Nia Jax comes out and basically says that she's better than Beth, and Tamina super kicks everybody into oblivion. And we get Dana Brooke again, and I just don't really care. And Ronda Rousey, she snatches her up in the armbar pretty quickly and gets a victory. She does not let go of it for a significant amount of time. Dana Brooke's just screaming in the middle of the ring. My wife is like, "What the hell is going on in there?" And I'm like, "Armbar, I guess," And then there were reports Tuesday morning that Dana Brooke actually injured something serious in her elbow and shoulder. So that screaming could have been real, and Ronda was just like they had, I'm sure, planned for Ronda to hold the hold and be a dick, so I'm sure Ronda thought when Dana kept tapping and screaming that she was just selling it, and maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was. They did let her roll around in the ring for what I think is a significant amount of time after the segment for somebody who had suffered a legitimate injury. Maybe she didn't know how badly she was injured at the time. She just knew that during the hold, something got tweaked and it hurt. Certainly there are times where athletes are way more injured than they realize in the moment. So she may have stayed out there to continue selling it because she's just a good soldier for the product or whatever, not knowing how seriously it was hurt, or this could all be fake. Either way, it was kind of gross looking. Batista comes out and says Triple H had held him down his entire career and has been jealous of him, and that his goal at WrestleMania is to end Triple H's career, so that'll be interesting. Braun Strowman says he's going to enter the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal so that as many people as possible can get his hands. Which sounds a little weird now that I hear myself say it like that. Like when he says get these hands, it doesn't sound that weird. But when I say that he wants as many people as possible to get his hands, that sounds a little creepy. Anyway, Drew McIntyre comes out to say some stuff about the Shield before his match with Seth Rollins. Excellent heel work. A bit of a rehash of Samoa Joe's work against AJ Styles in late 2018, which is in itself, I know, was nothing original, but it was recent. We get a really good match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, where Drew McIntyre is in firm control for pretty much the first half of the match. And then Rollins is, doing his thing for the second half of the match. The ending is spoiled as Brock Lesnar's music hits and him and Paul Heyman are standing out by the Titantron, and Seth Rollins does one of these. And he's already, and just a little pretext here, Drew McIntyre is struggling to get to his feet on the complete opposite side of the ring from Seth in the ropes. And Seth apparently doesn't, when Brock's music hits, I understand to look and see where he's at, and because sometimes their music hits and then they're not there, and then they come from behind you or whatever, and we've all seen it enough. I'm sure, have seen it enough that even kayfabe should be aware that this sort of thing happens. And so I understand the logic of looking. Okay, he's all the way down there. Even if he runs, I still have a more immediate threat directly behind me, but instead Seth does one of these and then turns around and takes a Claymore kick right to the face and loses his match. Seriously, the Titantron's 80 feet or something away, 120 feet away. It's far away. And Drew McIntyre is comparatively so right behind you. Anyway, that's how Raw ended. All in all, this is an inoffensive show. I enjoyed it. A B- show altogether, right? Nothing bad about it. Had some good things, but nothing overall great about it. I'll take a string of B- shows from WWE television, because we all know that we can get a string of C- shows. So, anyway, that was Raw. See ya.